JW. JW was with me in the late summer and fall, and the residents, many of the faculty know, but perhaps our guests don't. I had bad appendicitis, which I completely ignored for about 5 days, traveling internationally, did some other things, and then came back to Huck very, very sick. And JW was on my service, and I had told him, take a look at my x-rays, because you'll see stuff on there you're never going to see any other time. This untreated appendicitis isn't something we see in this era. One of the things I had to have was an echocardiogram to make sure I didn't have endocarditis, because I'd been bacteremic for days. And I told JW to feel free to look, and before anybody else could give me my results, JW came running into the room. He said, "I just saw your echo. Your heart's in great shape." and there are no vegetations there, so that made me feel much better. And of course, about 2 or 3 days later, the actual cardiologist gave me the same reports, but JW, in his usual way, was both on top of it and completely correct. So JW did miss a couple of weeks, but he really did a spectacular job. He's a superb technician. We did a lot of fun cases together, and we know he's going to go on to great things. He'll be joining one of our great trainees who's gone on to his own terrific academic career, Joe Wu, and going to Stanford to train in cardiac surgery. And to tell us a little more about JW, I'd like to call Rob Roses.
I was really very honored when JW asked me to introduce him, but I was a little surprised. We have sort of different characters. After meeting his wonderful family last night and again today, I recognize he's actually the introvert of the group. So I've also been set up very well for this, for saying a few words by this gas pump award and whatnot. And first of all, JW did a great job with the medical students. I just want to make that clear. But I did think I'd provide some additional information. I wanted to read an anonymous testimonial about JW from one of our medical students. It's an outsider's perspective that highlights some of his more enigmatic qualities. So this is a quote from one of the students. He wrote, or she wrote, "He barely acknowledges medical students at all. During rounds, I was once trapped in a stairway where I did not have entry for 15 minutes because he runs down the stairs and I could not keep up. Nobody on the team missed a beat. A nurse finally heard me knocking. He does not use his words in the OR. Instead, he physically moves her hand away." Stop there. So I knew relatively little about JW as a junior resident. We didn't actually work together that much when I was a resident here. But he did have a reputation for taking a hard-nosed or old-school kind of approach and having an outsized personality, and I was aware of this. I actually remember seeing him at one of these events just after I returned to Philadelphia from fellowship, and he was outfitted in a white dinner jacket and sunglasses. He got done himself tonight. So later on, I noted when I started to work with him, I overheard him commenting that, quote, "The general surgery OR was like the little league, and the cardiac surgery OR was the big leagues." So again, the outsized personality on display. But a year or so later, I had my first real working relationship with JW at the VA. I remember noticing what a talented surgeon he was. I remember even more than that after the first case, I think we did 2 cases after the first case, he was hovering over the patient recovery. I said, "You want to get some lunch? I'll get you something." He wouldn't move from the bedside until the next case. And he was just exceptional. And then at the beginning of his chief resident, we worked together on a daily basis, and I've never really seen anybody more completely dedicated to the patients, so eager to learn and improve, so committed to the educational mission of the department and specifically the residency program. And he's so excellent and so dedicated that I felt really completely redundant during his time on the service, and I was probably much more of a hindrance to him than anything else. So in closing, it's really been inspiring to work with JW. I'll miss him when he heads out to California, but I'll always be proud of our time in the little leagues together. Without further delay, let's get him up here. JW.
Dr. Roses for that kind introduction. I'd like to thank Dr. Devin, Dr. Fraker, Dr. Morris, Dr. Roses, and all the faculty and residents for allowing me this opportunity to speak tonight. I have been patiently waiting for this day for 8 wonderful years. Really, but what people might not know is that I took an extra year to get a Master's of Translational Research, and that put me back a year. So instead of 7 years, it took me 8. And those were 8 wonderful years, and there's really nothing you can do to really adequately prepare yourself for such a momentous occasion as this one. It kind of just sneaks up on you, and here it is today. This program has been my home, and all of you have been my family, which is why this milestone is so emotionally charged. I would like to thank the chiefs that have come before me and have showed me really what it means to be a great, excellent chief resident. And those are Paul Foley, Rob Roses, Major Kenneth Lee, Robert Redfield, Myra Lukin, and Noel Hiesinger. I'd like to thank my parents, Ward MacArthur and Pat MacArthur. I have a little story to tell you guys about my father. I've always been an athlete, and I've always kind of brought that to surgical residency in the surgical arena. But I used to play ice hockey competitively, and my dad was at every single practice, every single game. And during the games, after every shift, I would look up to him in the stands, and he would rate how I played that shift. It was either this, which I lived for. I love that. But sometimes I got this. The worst times when I got this. So that kind of, I think, goes to show you a little bit about my personality and how I was brought up. My dad for pushing me to excel, pushing me to exceed. And for that, I would be forever grateful. And to my mother, I have another story at that point as well for her. Growing up, when we used to leave the house, my brother and I used to leave the house every day, we had a dry erase board right by when we left the garage to go out to the schools. And on that erase board was a saying that I've kept with me to this day. And it said, "Be good, be kind, and be respectful." And I always kind of took that a little bit for granted as us, just my mom being the principal that she is. But reflecting on that over these past couple of weeks, really understood the importance of those words, and I'd like to carry those out to this day. I'd like to thank my brother, Ryan MacArthur, and my cousin, who's actually also like a brother, Rob Lalone, who are both at the table there, for their love and support over these past years. I'd like to thank my girlfriend, Annie Luong, who's sitting at the table there as well. I'm so lucky to have found you, and I love you so much. As you know from the prior presentation, I also place a big emphasis on the OR staff, many of whom are here tonight. They have played such an important role in mine and my fellow chief residents' surgical training. As Dr. Fraker has told you, many times you can look to them to tell you what to do next, and they have certainly done that for me. I also would like to especially thank Julius Miller for all his friendship and support over these past years. I've learned so much from you, Jules. Thank you. They really tell it like it is. They don't sugarcoat anything. And I've learned from a great OR staff that I'm just a regular asshole. I'd like to also thank my mentor, who's not here tonight, Dr. Y. Joseph Wu, who's out at Stanford, who I will be joining very shortly on July 1st. He has made such a great impact on my career already, and I'm sure will continue to have that effect on me throughout the next 2 years for fellowship. I'd also like to thank Jeff Cohen, who sat in a little tiny office with me in Stemler. We worked together very closely in the lab and actually started Dr. Wu's lab for him out at Stanford. He's played such an integral role in my research, and I look forward to working with him in the future. Thank you, Jeff. And last, but certainly not least, I would like to thank Dr. Morris. I'd like to thank him for his passion and for his tireless work for Penn Surgery and for the education of all of the residents. I feel very thankful for your friendship, and am well aware that there are no minor surgeries, only minor surgeons, but none in this room. And having said that, I would like to leave you with these words: be good, be kind, and be respectful. Thank you very much.